The Los Angeles sun streamed relentlessly through the bedroom blinds at Friday morning, a mocking contrast to the desolation settling within me. I woke earlier than usual, a gnawing unease banishing sleep. Catherine, my Kate, slept beside me, facing the wall, her breathing deceptively even. That word, deceptively, had hung in the air for weeks, an invisible, toxic fog, a palpable distance, a constant distraction. Her eyes slid past me as if I were worn-out furniture in the home we once shared. Conversation had died, not replaced by arguments, but by a profound inability to find common ground beneath the roof and within the shared history that now felt like artifacts in a museum of our former life. I rose, moving silently out of habit, heading to the sleek kitchen to start the espresso machine. The silence in our Santa Monica condo was oppressive, a stark contrast to the laughter, plans, and even heated debates that once filled these rooms and ended in tangled sheets and whispered apologies. Now it felt like a mausoleum. I was a ghost haunting my own life. As the machine hissed, my feet carried me back toward the bedroom, drawn by some inexplicable need for a clue, an explanation for the icy vacuum between us. Kate still slept. Then I saw it, her phone, lying face down on the nightstand. It always used to rest screen up, a tiny detail, but it cut like shrapnel. There was no thunderclap of realization, no surge of hot rage, only a cold, nauseating wave of suspicion rising from some abyssal depth. I picked up the phone. Unlocked. My fingers trembled slightly as I opened the messaging app. His name sat at the top. Stephen, colleague, the one she'd mentioned casually weeks ago, dismissing him as a persistent joker. The messages were almost entirely deleted. Only his remained recent, inane emojis and fragments that meant nothing without context. Except one. One sentence that felt like a blade slipped between my ribs. Today was incredible. You're amazing. Counting down to Friday. The world didn't end. It froze. The distant hum of Pacific Coast Highway vanished. All I heard was the frantic hammering of my own heart and Kate's steady, sleeping breath. Wife? The word lost all meaning, hanging in the air like a poisonous stone. I replaced the phone exactly as I found it. The espresso machine sputtered its finale. I returned to the kitchen, silenced it. My hands moved on autopilot, poured the dark liquid into 2 mugs. Hers, mine, seeing them side by side, symbols of a shattered covenant. I felt not pain, not bitterness, emptiness, a deafening, all-consuming void. And within that void, something else began to crystallize. Cold, hard, unforgiving. Kate stirred, stretched, offered me a sleepy smile. Morning. Her voice was normal. How? How did she inhabit the charade? I nodded, jaw clenched tight, terrified of what monstrous sound might escape. She took her mug, sipped. I watched her, every movement, searching for traces of yesterday's incredible. Shadows under her eyes? A certain dishevelment? Or was it my inflamed imagination? She mentioned weekend plans, a catch-up with her friend Jessica. Friday evening. Stephen's words echoed. They sounded like a verdict. The following days passed in a state of detached observation. I went to my finance job downtown, performed a routine, spoke to Kate just enough to maintain the facade. Inside, a hurricane raged, but sealed within an impenetrable vault. I watched. I gathered data. She became more guarded with her phone, smiled into it more often, angled the screen away when I neared. Her mood brightened. She seemed lit from within by a light I hadn't ignited and despised. Every flicker of her newfound joy was fresh proof, another drop of venom into my soul. I found him, Stephen, social media, smiling, confident photos, successful, smug. The urge to smash the screen was visceral, but I held it in. Blind rage wasn't my method. I didn't just want pain. I wanted obliteration. The same annihilation she brought to our life, to my life. I wanted her to feel the frozen emptiness I felt, for her bright, adulterous world to turn to ash. Mere exposure wasn't enough. Tears, screams, excuses, that would be pitifully small. Over to, quickly, it might let her play the victim, blame my inadequacy. No, She needed to lose everything she held dear, everything she thought secure, just as I had lost faith in her, in us, in any future. The plan formed slowly, meticulously, like an ice crystal growing in absolute zero. I started with the finances, our joint accounts, our savings, the fruit of years of dual incomes, but structured with me as the primary account holder. Comfortable, not wealthy, we've been saving for a house up the coast. A dream now rendered a cruel joke. I began cautiously transferring funds. Not large sums, suspicious. Small amounts, frequently, under plausible guises. Diversify investments, helping my cousin with his startup. Unexpected repairs on the Mercedes. The money flowed into secure, anonymous accounts she couldn't trace. I knew her. Finances bored her. She trusted me to handle them. That trust was now her Achilles heel. Simultaneously, I laid the groundwork for her professional ruin. Kate was a freelance graphic designer with a few key clients, but one anchor, a demanding, high-paying tech startup CEO based in Palo Alto. Mr. Harrison. I knew his reputation. Exacting, intolerant of the slightest error. I knew the login for her work email. She'd asked me to check something once while her laptop was being repaired. She'd never changed the password. The appointed Friday arrived. She was dressing for her night with Jessica, with extra care, that telltale spark in her eyes. I sat in the living room, pretending to watch the news. My heart pounded, but my hands were icy steady. Might be late, she called out, kissing my cheek. The kiss felt like a brand of betrayal. The door clicked shut. Silence. I waited 10 minutes. Then I went to her sleek workstation in the den, logged into her email, found the crucial draft proposal for Mr. Harrison she'd labored over for days, scheduled to send tonight. It was perfect. I opened it and began to edit. Subtly at first, replaced key industry terms with clumsy slang, inserted glaring grammatical errors in critical sections, shifted the tone from polished professionalism to borderline unprofessional familiarity, added nonsensical, irrelevant sentences that screamed carelessness. I crafted it to look like a rushed, disrespectful afterthought. I saved the changes. Hurrying to her date, she likely wouldn't double-check the draft. She'd just hit send. Dispatching her career, suicide. Next, the banking app. All week, I prepared the final blow. The bulk of our remaining shared savings sat in the main account. I initiated the transfer, the entire balance, to an account belonging to an untraceable offshore shell corporation I'd quietly established months ago through layered intermediaries. A just-in-case measure, just in case, had arrived. Confirmation flashed instantly. The account was zeroed. I logged out, cleared the browser history meticulously. No trace remained. Then, the waiting. I sat in the darkened living room. Hours crawled. I pictured her, happy, careless in her lover's arms, utterly oblivious that her world had already imploded. The desire to witness the moment of impact was almost physical. But I knew the true collapse would begin later. When she returned to this, my home, she returned late. I heard the key turn cautiously in the deadbolt. The foyer light snapped on. She padded to the kitchen, poured water. I remained silent. She glanced into the living room. "You're awake." Her voice was hushed, tired, devoid of remorse. "Yes," I replied flatly. She sighed, moved past me toward the bedroom. "Catherine," I stopped her. She turned, eyebrow arched questioningly. No fear, no premonition, only mild irritation at being delayed before sleep. "Check your email tomorrow. Mr. Harrison sent something significant, I believe. And look at the joint account. There's something that needs paying." My words were toneless, like reading a technical manual. She shrugged, oblivious. "Okay, will do. Night." She disappeared. I stayed in the dark, listening to her nighttime routine. The phone charger clicking onto the nightstand, the rustle of clothes, the creak of the mattress. Then silence. She slept peacefully, while the mind's eye planted ticked towards detonation. Morning became the stage for my cold finale. I woke early, brewed strong coffee. She emerged sleep-tousled, sat at the marble breakfast bar, reached for her phone. I watched as she idly scrolled through notifications. Suddenly, her face transformed. Sleep vanished. Eyes widened, flooded with pure terror. She shot up, knocking the stool over. What is this? Her voice cracked into a shriek. She stared at the screen, then at me. Mr. Harrison, he terminated the contract. He's saying horrible things. What did I send? I didn't send anything like that. She paced the kitchen, shaking the phone like a defective object. The panic was raw. First strike. Check the account, I stated calmly, sipping my coffee. She grabbed her laptop, fumbled it open, fingers trembling violently over the keyboard as she accessed the banking portal. I saw the blood drain from her face, leaving a deathly pallor. She jabbed at the screen, refreshing the page repeatedly, disbelief warring with horror. Where is it? Our money. Where did it go? Her scream was primal, full of animalistic dread. She looked up at me, eyes swimming in tears and utter confusion. What happened? What is going on? I stood, closed the distance between us, looked directly into her panic-stricken, bewildered eyes. Inside, there was no gloating, no pity, only the icy calm of a scorched wasteland. What happened? I echoed her question, my voice alien, metallic. What happened is you stopped being my wife weeks ago. Or months. It doesn't matter. You became someone else's mistress. And I became your executioner. Her face contorted. Panic morphed into shock, then naked fear. No, you don't understand. She choked, gasping for excuses that were now meaningless dust. Save your breath, Catherine. I cut her off. My voice didn't rise, but each word landed like a stone. I know everything. I know about Stephen. I know about your incredible afternoons. I know about your lying Fridays. You betrayed more than me. You betrayed everything we built, everything I believed in. I paused, letting the words sink like barbs. Your email to Harrison was the final monument to your carelessness. Your career with him is ash. Your reputation in that circle is destroyed. And the money, I allowed an icy, mirthless smile. The money was a price. The price for your betrayal. It's gone where you'll never find it. Just like me. She stared at me as if seeing a stranger. Horror mixed with dawning comprehension of the scale of the ruin. You bastard. The words burst out, but held no power, only utter desolation. You destroyed me. No, Catherine. I corrected softly. You destroyed us. I merely ensured the process reached its logical conclusion. You chose your path. Now reap the harvest. Alone. I turned and walked toward the hall closet, where my pre-packed duffel bag waited. I'd secured a short-term lease in Venice weeks ago. A lawyer will contact you regarding the divorce. The deed to this condo. It will cease to be your concern soon enough. You won't be able to afford the payments. I walked out of the kitchen, leaving her standing amidst the rubble of her existence. Rubble she begun constructing with her choices. Rubble I had methodically engineered into total collapse. I heard a choked sob behind me, then the clatter of the laptop hitting the floor, followed by racking, hopeless sobs, the sound of absolute devastation. I didn't look back. The condo door closed behind me with a final, hollow thud. Outside, the L.A. morning was overcast. I inhaled the cool, damp air. There was no relief, no satisfaction, only the same icy void. But now it was clean, cleansed of her, of the lies, of the pain of the past. I had avenged. I had demolished her world as completely as she had shattered mine. The cycle was complete. Only silence remained, the road ahead, unknown, but finally free of her toxic presence. Justice, cold calculated, and absolute had been served.